Hi, everyone. Can you believe Thanksgiving is next week? I just can't believe that we're already um, in the middle of the holiday rush going on. So thank you so much for listening in to our Tell All Tuesday, my Tell All Tuesday. And I'm so happy to welcome a new group of women from Virginia that are listening in today, and welcome for thank you for coming, and welcome to the first Google Hangout that you're experiencing. Actually, no one opted in to be in the dialogue today, but I know that you're listening, so I just want to spend the next 20 minutes or so talking about what you can do during the holiday season. And I'm going to share a little bit with you about my personal story and how Thanksgiving still can be a little bit of a challenging time for me, and I'm hoping not so much for you. Way back when, actually the day before Thanksgiving, I was rushed to the hospital, and I think I talked about this just a couple weekends ago when I was doing a few in-person workshops, and so the day before Thanksgiving, I was rushed to the hospital with an ectopic pregnancy, and I lost that pregnancy and had some really challenging physical side effects from the surgery and from that loss. And so that year, I really opted out of the holidays, and that was so not me. I know I shared with you before, I was a preschool teacher, so decorating for the holidays, every holiday is one of the things I so enjoy. So that year, I really opted out. I was just in such heartbreak that I didn't. Well, Thanksgiving, I wasn't able to attend, which I was still in the hospital, but Christmas, I just didn't decorate. I totally opted out. And what I know now that I wish I knew then was that I really wasn't in a position to communicate that to other people in a way that they could understand. And people around me couldn't really understand what was happening. And I had a great friend of mine that I referenced within the workshops that we did last week and the week before, and he was the school counselor, and he actually went ahead and sent me two beautiful poinsettias, and they were on my in front of my fireplace. But all my family was kind of quietly circling around about no Christmas tree, no Christmas decorations, and it finally just passed. And for me, that was what I needed. And to be honest with you, that was a lot of years ago. So it was 17 years ago. And to be honest with you, nobody remembers that. And why I'm telling you this story is because the situation that you're in right now, you really need to have specific boundaries for you. So I know that growing up we learned about boundaries, and you have your personal space boundaries, but also boundaries within relationships. But there's this other kind of boundary that I want to talk to you about today, which is called situational boundaries. I kind of made that word up within my coaching. And so given your situation about your family creating dynamics, where you are right now in the process, it's okay to have situational boundaries, meaning that if you are looking at what's coming up on your calendar and you're really feeling emotionally not able to attend, then that's what the situational boundary is the most healthy for you. And I think that goes back to those two questions that I talk about constantly, one-on-one within my one-on-one coaching, but also within groups, is really connecting within and asking yourself what you feel, and then waiting and asking yourself what you need. So way back when, after that horrific loss of my pregnancy, maybe it was an unconscious setting of situational boundaries, and it might have been through anger that I said, I'm opting out. I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to get through until we get to January and it's a new year. But that worked for me. And I want to empower you to determine what you need and what will work for you. So to that end, if there's a situation about the holidays that you really can't opt out of, I have some tips for that too. So if there's something that you need to go for work, or if there's family obligations, what worked for me back then, and I still use it, is to break the event down. So if you were feeling empowered or strong enough to just go for appetizers, then set the intention that you're just going to go for appetizers and then leave. Or set the intention that you're showing up late for dessert, and then have that boundary, that situational boundary that works for you. And what I found about that for me personally, and also for my clients over the years, is that if you set the intention that, okay, I will make the effort to go, but I'm only staying for this amount of time, you're setting yourself up for a win. Because for me, before I implemented this strategy, I would beat myself up about having to stay and be very internally at odds about being there, being uncomfortable there. But if you set it up that you're going to go, okay, I'm only going to go for desserts or cocktail, and then I'm leaving. But if you get there and you're feeling okay and you stay longer, then that exceeds your expectation, as opposed to awfulizing. I know that one of the husbands was giggling out when I said awfulizing the situation. But so the strategy would be to set your intention and just self-reflect, ask yourself what you need and what you feel, and determine if you want to go. Now, here's another good tip. And I wrote this article that originally appeared a long time ago on my blog, but was shared through Fertility Authority. And it's also on my blog that I'll actually submit on social media after this, so that you can download it if you want. But it is to create a red flag phrase between you and your partner, or even to yourself. And it was funny because way back when, of course, Seinfeld was I'm sorry, I'm a little distracted because people are tweeting or writing to me while I'm talking. So I got that. So I'll address that in a minute. But way back when, the red flag phrase that I used were, "These pretzels are making me thirsty." And so what that was really like the Monopoly get out of jail card free. That red flag phrase I would share at the time with my significant other or a friend, so that if I said that, "These pretzels are making me thirsty," that was code for, I'm at my breaking point and I need to leave. And so it's really important to have a wingman or a wingwoman with you if you're feeling out of balance or under stress about some social occasions, because we all know with work you have to go to some things. You can't opt out, or you can just opt out, and years from now it's truly not going to matter. So you decide what works for you. You set your situational boundaries, and you go armed with your red flag phrase, and then you come to a place of being okay, being okay if you go or not go. And then the last thing is an elevator speech. So within, the business world, to have an elevator speech is really to be able to tell someone within a short period of time what you do. What you do for work and what's your brand. But an elevator speech for me, when I applied that to our fertility situation, or my fertility situation, is really to have a line that you use when someone asks you. So way back when, right before I started fertility treatments, we were at a holiday party, and literally this man said to us, when are you selfish yuppies going to stop only thinking about yourself and start having babies? And I remember buttering my roll and having my butter knife in my hand and really, really like holding back, because, from the outside world, people really don't know what you're experiencing. That old adage, until you walk in somebody else's shoes. And so I think now fertility challenges are so a little bit more mainstream, but there is such a reluctance to share this personal information, which I was right there with you. But I just wanted you to be armed that you can answer someone like that, or when are you going to have children? And what was so amazing to me was sometimes the people closest to you would be the ones that would say something that would be so hurtful. I mean, I know I had one family member who would trigger me emotionally. And what I find too with other women that I talk to, it seems like sometimes the people closest, they really don't know what to do or what to say, but they end up, tripping into a place that's hurtful. So if you have an elevator speech, if you call it that, and I used to, when I was asked, when are you going to have babies, and how come you guys don't have babies, or are you going to have children, or I would say we have a whole team of experts working on it. And that, for me, it was empowering to say that, because we did. I had a whole team of people behind me helping me to overcome this diagnosis of infertility. And then over the years, I know I wrote about these in Love and Infertility, and for my new friends listening in on the line that just received a copy of Love and Infertility, there's a whole chapter on that, elevator speech and red flag phrase. But the other one that I love is babies come when babies come. Or you can say, you'll be the first to know when we are pregnant. But I love the one that I say I had a whole team of experts working on that, because it's such a subtle way of saying to someone, you know what, you really don't know what position we're in, and we are trying. I have to tell you, before I came up with my elevator speech, my emotions, would take over for me. And, a couple times I said things that were hurtful and to other people, because they just didn't know, they stumbled into that situation, and I was so raw. So I'm going to put all this information up on my blog and follow through with the December newsletter with some of these strategies. But I'll go over a couple of them. I'll go over what we just talked about, or what I just talked about, which is creating boundaries, situational boundaries. And why I use the word situational boundaries is because they're not going to last forever. It's just for this current situation. And so sometimes when you set a different boundary, it just feels totally uncomfortable, and it feels wrong. It could feel wrong, but that's a judgment. So by listening within, asking yourself what you need, how you feel, what you need, and then setting your intention, either about the whole holiday season or just an event, being armed with your red flag phrase. I shared with mine, these pretzels are making me thirsty, but you can come up with your own, and I would love to hear back if you want to, put them on my Facebook page or email me. I would love to have a database to share with others about, your red flag phrase. And then an elevator speech. I offered up a few, and, we have a whole team of experts working on those. Babies come when babies come, or more of a flip one. I'll let you know as soon as we get pregnant. So that lets people know that you are working on it, and there are issues, but not coming out and sharing your whole story. Oh, excuse me. There's been a little crazy virus around Massachusetts, and maybe Virginia and other side of Massachusetts, but there's been a little funky virus around. And lastly, I just want to invite you to take advantage of the complimentary 30-minute introductory coaching call that I offer. And please take that as a gift of the holidays to you, to just touch base and vent if you want, or ask questions. But you can go ahead and do that through my website. And coming up in December and January, there's going to be so many amazing guests. In January, we're talking about nutrition, and I have a wonderful doctor speaking, and all that information will be on my website and also through the newsletter. So thank you so, so much for spending this Google Hangout with me. I welcome your feedback. And let me just check up here because I'm getting messages and I want to make sure I answered all of them. Just a minute. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't answer one. So it was about breaking the event down into different sections and what happens if you're at odds with your significant other or at odds with work that, you really can't do that. So I recommend taking time out. And so if that means, taking some time out in the bathroom and regrouping and just taking a moment. But I also recommend that I know you probably, okay, Kristen, you told me about this, but really exercising this loop with both of your fingers, which is an amazing pressure point. And that circulates the energy back to you. And it actually is a soothing pose. And so I sometimes do that when I'm sitting at the table, underneath the table as a quick mini relaxation, and just being mindful of looping my fingers together and put them on my lap and taking a couple deep breaths, because you always have choice. You really are empowered, even though sometimes it doesn't feel like you are, but you have choice. So thank you so much. I love you all. It was such a pleasure meeting all my new friends and all the new listeners over the last couple weeks. And if I didn't answer your question, please feel free to email me directly at kristen@kristendarcy.com. And all this information will be able to be replayed through YouTube, and the written strategies will be on my blog again. So have a safe and healthy and relaxing and yummy food over Thanksgiving. And my wish for you is great peace. So talk again next week. Next month. Oh my gosh, almost in December. Have a great afternoon. Bye, everyone.